Anwar Allen is going to join us in T-minus 2 minutes. Anwar, we're going to get to you. It is a phenomenal time to buy a home. I'm going to save the UVA students, the Virginia Tech football, and what should football do to after Anwar Allen on the broadcast. I'm reaching out to Anwar now, Judah. I'm giving you the heads up here on the I Love Cville show. In fact, it's ringing. Allen's famous shortbreads. Anwar, you are live on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter with a lot of folks watching you. Good afternoon. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. No pressure.
No pressure.
Right?
Where do you want to go? Any topic we want to cover so far, or any topic that you have on your brain, I will adapt to you.
Well, I was listening to your show, actually. You had an awesome little conversation going on already. I think you were talking about business and education, actually. I mean, education kind of fascinates me now. I mean, just because we're a young family and we've got a lot of little things that we have to think about. Our oldest daughter's 12, and we are in a similar situation. A lot of parents are trying to figure out what to do with their kids. I mean, it's coming up fast.
Can I ask you what you guys are going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting position we're taking. We're gonna do a little homeschooling, but it'll have a little bit of structure to it. This will be our first year homeschooling, actually, so this is gonna be wild for us. It's gonna be classical conversations is what it'll be, and classical conversations. It's a little different than some other homeschool groups out there, but one of the main premises is that it takes a lot of what the best learning capabilities are of that kid at that age, and it makes it so the learning style it goes in line with how their brains are functioning, essentially. So it's a lot of memorization at the first part of it, which is like the grammar stage. And then after that, it's taking a lot of the grammar components of every subject, not just literature, but the language of it, math and history and all those things, and putting it together later on where they can formulate arguments and ideas. So it goes along a lot of the same pathways of a traditional public school. And, likewise, last year, my daughter did she was in Regents, which is a private school, a small private school that does a classical type of education. So they went along. We were kind of used to this type of system, so we kind of made that little jump. Our decision was in part because of our business. We need to have flexibility with our business and classical conversations. That type of homeschooling environment it allows us that flexibility. A lot of people don't know it. A lot of movie stars, a lot of just people that are on the go a lot, kid musicians, whoever, like personalities, they homeschool. They have to because they have to have flexible education. So. Anyways, I'm actually.
Do you feel? I mean, okay. So you are brilliant. Your wife is brilliant. We've talked on the show how smart your wife is and some of the experiences that you relayed to us the first time from you guys at UVA.
Yeah.
So you guys are two off the charts bright parents. On top of that, you have the flexibility of being self-employed with a thriving business. So is it safe to say, here's a two-part statement, I'm going to throw it to you. Is it safe to say, very fortunate here, parents are going to relay that to the kids and being able to teach them from home? I mean, this is a good position to be in. We're also in a similar position with our family, and that my wife's able to stay home. So throw that topic to you and how it could relate to others that are not in equally as a fortunate position, Anwar.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy situation because people, I can imagine it's tough for some people. They got to go back to work. They got to put food on the table. We're going back in these new phases where the governor or the rest of the country is going to say, look, we need to get the economy back and rolling. So you're going to go back to your desk job if you still got it. You're going to be doing accounting or marketing or whatever. Everything's got to go back to some amount of normalcy. And you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with your kid. You know what I'm saying? And I heard you talking about the Y and ACAC and just opening up these different type of, educational hubs. And I don't know, all of that this is the wild west right now. Yeah, and and the crazy thing to me is that I had thought about it before, but it didn't really come to a head until just these last couple months. Is education is a business. I didn't I met some guy randomly. He sold books, textbooks, and you had Glencoe and you had Macmillan and you had all these other, and you know it. You went to college. You had to buy the next edition,
and it was so expensive. It was like $700 a textbook. Yeah,
it's a racket. And I mean, yes, I'm glad that the book was edited and the new edition had new information in it, and I understand all that. But I don't need to pay for another edition if it's just got a CD.
It was a marginal change, and we had to buy the new textbook.
Right. So I mean, I think if you can get away with it, if you have the flexibility and you understand what education should be, then by all means, I mean, do it. Like I'm actually going to be teaching my daughter. I never thought I'd be doing it, but I'm actually going to be teaching or directing this. It's a conversation where all the kids will be doing their own homework, but I will be in a classroom setting, kind of leading. I heard you talking about pods and all that stuff. I think if you got it, why not? Just because of the fact that we are in uncertain times, and I venture to guess that a lot of parents are actually kind of looking at what they had to go through already. They were Zooming. They were doing the schoolwork with the kids. They were leading these conversations at home. They were directing their own classrooms. And they thought to themselves, whether you're private school or whether you're public school, you're thinking, all right, I'm putting this much time in. And then if you're putting money in, you're saying, okay, I'm putting this much money in. What am I getting out of this? Like, what am I going to be doing with my kids, and what's the future of this, and what's the best bang for the buck, and time? What's the best time, saving? So, I know education is one of them. I thought it was interesting, and I never thought that I'd be in this position.
Do you fear? I'm going to throw this topic to you. Do you fear what's happening with virtual education is amplifying and driving momentum behind the inequalities in the educational system? I mean, here's the thing: it's so unfortunate that a family that does not have economic means, and economic means could be, not having high-speed internet. Or economic means could be both families have to work. In some cases are working double shifts, back-to-back shifts. Maybe one of the parents are doing here. What I'm seeing is I'm seeing, and I'm going to throw this to you and get your take. I'm seeing kids that have parents that have means or affluence or freedom, depending on their profession. They're having opportunities that kids where their parents don't have those luxuries do not. Your thoughts, anywhere you want to go on this topic.
Yeah, I mean, man, you're opening up a can of worms, because there are a lot of problems that our society has right now. There have been inequalities for a long time, and education is just one of them. And I think education it's a bright spot right now. And I think what can happen, what will be the opportunity, is for there to be a possibility for people to send money to create spaces where people who are disadvantaged, that have a gap, to say, okay, how can we mentor, how can we coach, how can we provide the materials, the resources that others might have. I mean, people will always do that, but the other thing that is a problem that is not being addressed, you can throw money at at anything. You can, you know what I'm saying? There's other systems that also need help, mentoring, for instance, you know? So, I've thought about my family. I've thought about where I've come from. I mean, my parents, I grew up in a 2-parent household, you know what I'm saying? But I'm black, you know what I'm saying? I'm African American. But also their values were a little different. I come from Caribbean descent. So there's a lot of things that are going into my story and my upbringing that I can look back on and allow me a little bit of advantage. And I think the one thing that we can do is to start coaching parents, coaching families, coaching communities, providing resource, not just backpacks and pens and notebooks and all that stuff, but ways in which we can actually empower parents, empower single parent homes, empower whether they're male, whatever. They're trying to give back to them, not just the money resource, but also the mental information, the knowledge to start to see where their decisions impact the future and to break cycles. Because if you don't know about continuing education, if you don't know that there's a way for you to make it, or if you don't know that there's a resource out there that can help bridge the gap, then you're not really gonna do much if the two aren't together.
That's a good
coupled
take.
Together.
That's a great take. Sure. That's a great take. Couple questions for you here. You said that you're gonna you guys are gonna go the homeschooling route. Is it gonna be you one-on-one with your daughter?
No, so I'll be going over her math, her history, all that stuff. She's doing Latin, which is, I didn't take Latin, took Spanish, did public school, by the way. And so, all these things, she'll have to go through these guided tours into these subjects to where at the end of the year, she'll have to take the testing modules to say, okay, she reached a certain level of proficiency in these areas. Now, the conversations that we have once a week for like 8 hours with other students her age, that's where I'll come in. So I'll be helping her with her work, but I'll also be helping lead these conversations of what are you guys reading? What's it really mean? What's the author trying to say here? What's this historical context?
That's a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, it's a little bit of pressure, but I think I've had a lot of help. There's been other people that have done the challenge. It's called the Challenge A course for this age group. There have been military families. Actually, there's military families. One of them's coming into my class. So I've had a lot of help. One teacher gave me a whole book curriculum for the whole year.
You're pretty much creating a pod here. That's freaking amazing, dude.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, we are. Because honestly, what has to happen is I have to have flexibility to do
your job.
Yeah. Right. We're. I didn't even know that you're talking about the restaurant thing, and was it 120 billion or 100 billion? Let me get a piece of that. I'm just saying. What do I do? Put myself down as a restaurant? Yes. I'm gonna do that. And then on the side, I'm doing, we're getting into e-commerce, new ways of e-commerce. So, we're running sales. We're running big deals. We're doing like a 50 to 70% off deal on our, I'm not sure if I told you, but we did QVC a long time ago. And so we're selling that product at a super high discounted price. And we're just having to be flexible. You know what I'm saying? It's a crazy season for us.
Alan Scottish Shortbreads, guys. Alan Scottish Shortbreads are absolutely where it's at. I got a couple follow-ups on the education because that's ringing true right now. Yeah. So you're creating a pod, which is amazing here. How difficult a decision? Yeah. Can I ask you a very vulnerable question? Okay. Yeah. So the conversation you had with your beautiful better half, how did it go with school? Was it like, do we go the private school route? Do we go to the pod route, which is what you guys are going? Do we go through virtual learning? Do we put the kids in the actual classroom? What was that conversation like?
Man, there was a lot of things. I mean, a vulnerability of ours, or just a be real thing that we are. Me personally, I read the Bible. I go to church. And so we kind of think about those things too, of how to add her, these global perspectives or these biblical perspectives in with her schooling. So we thought about Covenant, we thought about Stab, we thought about all of them. You know what I'm saying? And we thought, okay, well, first off,
They're expensive.
bottom line, we're running.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So and we have two others. You know what I'm saying? Our other one is actually going to be starting up pretty soon. So it wasn't just her. We were thinking about, okay, how do we get everybody to the same place at the same time with the best. It's tough that money comes down to it. You know what I'm saying? But we were looking at that, our resources, and just saying, okay, for a season, I think we need to navigate this, because we're actually coming into a new time for our business too. I mean, we know businesses that shut down. You know what I'm saying? So we're kind of looking off into the future. Okay, what kind of business are we? How are we going to be doing this? How flexible do we need to be? It's hard to say that somebody. I don't mind taking my daughter to school, but that's a one thing that I got to do extra. You know what I'm saying? So it was time, it was money, and then thinking to ourselves, we could possibly do something very comparable to what she got already. That school she was at was awesome. It was probably one of the better schools in Charlottesville, because they had small classrooms and they had dedicated teachers to the same core values we had. It was hard. You know what I'm saying? We had to pray about it and go through a lot. Looking at the numbers and I don't know. It was tough for us. And other families have probably made the same. Public school, pulling a kid out of public school. I don't know what that's like, because you're talking about buying books, paying teachers, paying facility fees to the ACAC or YMCA or the church up the street, whatever it might be. There's so many things that, and it's
Right.
August. You know what I'm saying? I didn't honestly, none of this was finalized, but maybe 3 weeks ago, right? So between that and, the uncertainty of COVID and all this stuff, I don't know how people are going to do it.
Well, dude,
but I had to put
serious respect for you, man. You inspire, you lead, you influence. I would love to continue the discussion of you pretty much. It sounds like to me, and I don't want to assume, that's why I'm asking. It sounds like to me, in some ways, you're leading a pod of students. Is it in the neighborhood?
Yeah, no, it's going to be, it's actually going to be up at this church. It's Maple Grove Baptist. That's not my church, but it's all good. It's all one, one umbrella of classical conversation.
So are the kids going to Maple Grove Baptist Church? They're meeting there? No?
No, I don't know where they're going to church, where their faith is, and all that stuff. It's just totally parents looking to have. Some of these are military parents, so they're coming back to the States, and they've been doing this system of education for so long. They need to be able to pick up and move and go somewhere else. And so, I went to a little info meeting, and the two nice ladies were there talking about it. And they're like, we've been praying about somebody,
Wow.
and I just, hey, why not? And, the big picture is, I think for me is communities are trying to figure out what the new normal is. So it's whether it's business, whether it's religion, commerce, politics, people are finding out a new normal, and they're actually finding out that they have not been as involved as they needed to be in kids' lives or politics, or your family wasn't as close as you need. It's like, oh, I only saw you twice a week, and I didn't even know that you took Spanish or whatever. I didn't know these things about you. And the parents are taking an interest in their education now, and they're like, I should be doing this. I should know about my kids. I should know. Or you're meeting your husband for the first time, or your wife. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, I didn't know you had that on Netflix. Let's watch that together on Netflix. I like that too. And so I feel like it's everything. It's not just education. That's been that's been something that's been working on me. Is just everything is changing, but I think a lot of things are changing for the better. I think it's causing us to come back into something that's actually more of a baseline for us as humans. I think we've been running too fast. We've been for too long, and I think we just need to slow down. You know what I'm saying? So it's been tough. It's been a horrible period for some people. COVID. I mean, but if you turn off the news for one day, you know what I'm saying, you might. And turn on the I Love Cville.
Thank you, Anwar. Thank you. I love that.
and do something, listen to something positive or something that's just a little different. Because, I mean, I love me some CNN, I love me some Fox News and some BBC, but they're businesses. You know what I'm saying? They're businesses too, and they're trying to sell a storyline. And if we can, get back to these things that really matter, you can start to say, well, I think it actually, NBA just came back, NFL just, they're coming, MLB. I mean, those are cool things, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like it's not who you're meant to be, I don't think. Our lives are not supposed to be revolving around TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. I mean, I love me all of that,
supposed to be in person.
But just, right. And so education, all these things we're just taking a different look at it. And I think, I hope, hopefully, especially in Charlottesville has a very informed group of people. I think at the end of the day, we're all going to be coming out of this situation understanding that we all want the same things, right? We want our kids to have good education. You know what I'm saying? We want our streets to be paved, so to speak. We want our police to be paid, but we want the good police to be paid.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because I know some cops. They're good cops.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? They're good people. You know what I'm saying? Just a couple bad. So I think, all in all, education is just one of them. But we all been kind of taking a deeper look at what we've been actually, taking into our minds and kind of digesting in our hearts.
Dude, you crushed this interview. Alan Scottish Shortbreads. I mean, this was even better than the last interview, and the last interview was like a Hall of Fame interview. Alan, get his URL on screen. Figure out how we can get folks interested in Alan Scottish Shortbreads. It's the best shortbreads in the world. Dude, we got to get you back on here as you are about to navigate. You're about to navigate the very murky waters of leading a pod while running a business. I mean, you have a full plate, dude.
A friend of mine asked me, he's like, and he homeschools too. And so he homeschools. He's like a missionary, he goes to China and stuff like that and hands out Bible. He's a cool dude. But he's got 5 kids, right? 5 kids. He looked at me, or 4 kids. He said, how are you going to do this? Like, if somebody like that...
Dude, I'm asking you right now. And you are like you're like, as Stuart Scott said, you're cooler than the other side of the pillow right now. You're showing no anxiety at all about this.
Maybe I should. So I don't know. Maybe before I talk myself out of it, I'm going to go ahead. The cool thing is I'm doing it with my daughter. She is actually going to be in my class.
Yeah.
And so
when does your pod start?
I get the pod starts, I think it's like early August, late August.
Dude, onward.
My wife is on the other side. She's saying in 8 days.
Okay, so the pod starts. In 8 days, you have to learn 13 subjects to teach 12-year-olds.
Yeah, you know what I'll probably do?
Is your daughter right there? Is your daughter right there?
No, she's in the other room. My wife is over here. She's hanging out. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put it on our page, our Facebook page. If people are interested in an alternative, a classical conversation alternative, I'll put the link on there. They can get some information because there's lots of good stuff out there, and this might be something that might be cool
Alan Scottish Shortbread's page.
Okay. I'll put it on there. Yeah,
dude, we're gonna keep this going. Can we reach out to you again in 9 days to see how the first day of school went?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, give me some chance. Give me time to get back into it. I'll give you.
Dude, you killed this interview. You're good in this setting. Thank you for joining us.
All right, man. Hey, I love hanging out with you. You have a great show, and I was listening to what you were saying earlier. You had a lot of good points talking about educate in the restaurant and just Yeah, I love what you're talking about. I love the trajectory where you're taking, and people are definitely learning and growing
Thank
alongside
you.
with you. Yeah. I'll put it on there. A link as well to the QVC. It's like a super sale we're doing, so I'll put it on the link. People get basically we're
Okay,
giving like
Judah,
free
let's
shortbread.
get that link and get it on I Love Cville too for them. So for some free shortbread. I mean, this is a steal.
All
Thank
right.
you, Anwar. You have a good one. He was
Thanks, man.
amazing. He's amazing.
Love
He's leading a pod in 8 days. He's leading a pod in 8 days. It's absolutely amazing. Barbara Lundgren says, we love Anwar and Laura. Barbara Lundgren, just put that on the feed. Steve Brown says, I love Alan Scottish shortbread. That's from Steve Brown. Give the show a like and a share. Give the show a like and a share. So Kelly Lewis, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for liking the show. Kelly Lewis, thank you for joining us. So here, let me throw this out here. We just heard from an entrepreneur, a small business owner, a father of 3, a husband of 1, that is launching a pod through a Baptist church that he does not go to. This is the beautiful thing about 2020 and COVID. What is this now? August? Is it the 4th of August? Every